Impossible 78. I was there with a friend, but not to toot my own horn, but she only got about 5 answers right. Only 2 or 3 I think I didn't know or I couldn't think of. Everything else was me. I was just like writing and writing and writing. I could have won that quiz by myself. Like, I know this show so incredibly well. And I love it so much. So I wanted to do some facts about it today. Now, I proofread some of these and have to honestly admit that some of them I didn't know. So they're definitely a little bit new to me as well. So let's just get started. I'm just going to read them on my phone. Lisa Kudrow was afraid of the duck. When the show was first written, Joey and Monica were intended to be love interests. The average Friends episode took 5 hours to film. Joey and Chandler's big white dog actually belonged to Jennifer Aniston. A friend gave it to her as a good luck gift when the show started. 3 cast members from The Simpsons made guest appearances on Friends. I'm probably going to pronounce these names wrong. Dan Castellaneta, who does the voice of Homer. Hank Azaria, who does the voice of Moe and Apu and multiple other ones. And Harry Shearer, who does the voice of Mr. Burns and Smithers, etc. There's little pictures of them, so I'll just say that Hank Azaria played David the scientist, which I knew. Dan Castellaneta plays the zookeeper that tells Ross about what happened to Marcel. And Harry Shearer, who plays Mr. Burns, he played when Ross was trying to get Marcel into the San Diego Zoo, or in a zoo, he meets the guy at Central Park who wants to buy him to set him up in like animal fighting. He played that guy. The show was originally called Insomnia Cafe. It was then renamed Friends Like Us, and then 6 of 1 before becoming Friends. In the first season, each of the main 6 cast members received $22,000 per episode. In 1997, they banded together to negotiate a salary increase to $100,000 per episode. It was the first time in TV history that cast members had done this. By the final season, they each got $1 million per episode. The One Where No One's Ready takes place entirely in Monica's apartment because the show didn't have a large enough budget for guest stars or additional sets. Joey plays Dr. Drake Ramore in a fictional version of the NBC soap opera Days of Our Lives. In real life, Jennifer Aniston's father, John Aniston, plays Victor Kiriakis on the actual Days of Our Lives. Courtney Cox is actually older than David Schwimmer, despite playing his younger sister. In the pilot, Monica forgets the name of a guy she sleeps with. Producers were worried that this would make the audience not like her, so they handed out a survey to the studio audience, asking whether they thought the plot should be changed. They didn't. Ross and Rachel weren't meant to be the central romance of the series. Their storyline was developed because of David Schwimmer and Jennifer Aniston's chemistry. Monica's apartment changed from number 5 to number 20 when the show's writers realized that 5 Phoebe's wedding is not attended by any of her relatives, including her twin sister Ursula, her father, her birth mother, her brother Frank Jr., or the triplets she gave birth to. Hank Azaria, who plays David the scientist, auditioned for the role of Joey twice before the show went into production. Chandler was written as a character who was awkward around women because Matthew Perry told producers that he himself was. The cast had a huddle before filming each episode to wish each other luck. Bruce Willis appeared in the show for free after losing a bet about whether The Whole Nine Yards would be number one in the box office on its opening weekend with Matthew Perry. He donated his fee to charity. I did not know that. Phoebe and Chandler were originally supposed to be supporting characters. David Schwimmer was the first of the main 6 actors to be cast on the show. Jennifer Aniston was the last of the main 6 actors to be cast on the show. Before the show's pilot aired, the cast was taken for dinner at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas to enjoy their last shot in anonymity. They later returned to the same place to shoot Ross and Rachel's drunken wedding. Crew member Paul Swain was responsible for the magnet doodles on the door of Chandler and Joey's apartment. When Monica pops up from underneath Chandler's bedsheet in London, the two of them held position for 27 seconds. Marcel was played by 2 monkeys, Monkey and Katie. If you name a monkey Monkey, I don't know how much inspiration you have. NBC originally thought the cast was too young and asked writers to include an older character who gave advice to the 20-somethings. NBC originally thought Central Perk was too trendy and wanted to set the show in a diner like Seinfeld. In the one where Chandler doesn't like dogs, we find out that Ross hates ice cream. One season earlier, however, we see Ross and Elizabeth enjoying ice cream on a date. I will say this, Friends has a lot of continuity errors. If you watch it a lot, you notice that. Producers originally wanted Courtney Cox to play Rachel, but she asked to play Monica because the character was so strong. The orange couch in Central Perk was found in the basement of the Warner Brothers studio. Ross is 29 years old for 3 years. All of the 6 main characters have kissed each other at one point, if you include alternative what-if episodes, except for Monica and Phoebe. Yeah, actually, I was thinking, well, neither of Ross and Monica, but they actually accidentally did in a like not a shown flashback, but a talked about flashback. Courtney Cox had to film the scene in which Rachel had Emma just after having a miscarriage. Joey wasn't written as a dim character. Matt LeBlanc suggested it. The frame around the peephole in Monica's apartment originally had a mirror in it. It was broken by a crew member during the early stages of filming, but producers thought it looked good, so they left it. June Gable, who played Joey's agent Estelle Leonard, also played a nurse in the episode where Carol gives birth to Ben. David Schwimmer directed 10 Friends episodes. Friends Its co-creators Marta Kaufman and David Crane are also co-writers of the show's theme song, I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts. When Rachel is trying to find a new officiate for Chandler and Monica's wedding, she finds a Greek Orthodox priest coming out of the Anastasakis Papasivakis wedding. Anastasakis is Jennifer Aniston's family name. When Lisa Kudrow first read the script, she thought Chandler's character was gay. Giovanni Ribisi plays Phoebe's brother Frank Jr. in later episodes, but he also has a small cameo in the earlier seasons. He plays a boy who accidentally throws a condom into Phoebe's guitar case instead of a coin. Lisa Kudrow had also been guest starring on Mad About You as Ursula Buffet for 2 years before Friends aired. They decided to make Phoebe a twin to create a crossover between the two shows. Gunther didn't have a name until the middle of the second season. James Michael Tyler was cast as Gunther because he was the only extra who knew how to operate an espresso machine. Gunther didn't have a line until the show's 33rd episode. He said, yeah. Winona Ryder and Susan Sarandon were both on Ross's celebrity list. You know, the 5 that he's allowed to sleep with, and Rachel couldn't get mad. They both later guest starred on the show. There were 6 versions of Phoebe's dollhouse made for the one with the dollhouse because the plot involved burning them. The actor who played Joshua's father is actually Matthew Perry's real-life father. Didn't know that either. Ellen DeGeneres turned down an offer to play Phoebe. In the last episode, it is mentioned that all 6 characters have lived in Monica's apartment. However, they also all lived in Joey's apartment. When the last series ended, Jennifer Aniston and her then-husband Brad Pitt hosted a dinner party at their home. They served bottles of wine that producer Kevin Bright had saved from the first series. When the last series ended, each cast member was given a piece of the sidewalk from outside Central Park as a keepsake. Shiny Happy People by R.E.M. was the original choice for the theme song for the show and was used in the pilot when the show was still called Friends Like Us. In 1995, I'll Be There For You reached number 1 in the Billboard Hot 100 Airplay chart for 8 weeks. When the show premiered, Matthew Perry and Jennifer Aniston were 25, Matt LeBlanc and David Schwimmer were 27, Courtney Cox was 30, and Lisa Kudrow was 31. The couch in Central Park was almost always free for the 6 friends because it was reserved. There was always a reservation sign on the coffee table, except for when Ross and Chandler were bullied and Chandler's hat was taken. Fans questioned why it was always available to the gang. It was later added in an episode where they say it was permanently reserved for them. We only find out 4 of the middle names throughout the seasons: Chandler Muriel Bing, Rachel Karen Green, Ross Eustace Geller, and Joseph Francis Tribbiani. We do, however, know Monica's middle name begins with an E, and Phoebe has a middle name but couldn't find out because Ursula sold her birth certificate. Season 2 didn't air Christina Applegate was cast as Amy Green for the season 9 Thanksgiving episode when Reese Witherspoon was unavailable to reprise her role as Jill. Jennifer Aniston later stated that she hated the now iconic Rachel haircut. Courtney Cox was the only one to never get nominated for an Emmy on the show. James Michael Tyler was working in a Hollywood coffee shop when he got the role of Gunther. Ben Geller was played by 4 boys. Michael Gunderson as an infant, twins Thomas and John Christopher Allen during seasons 3 to 5, and Cole Sprouse during seasons 6 to 8. Matt LeBlanc started going gray in his 20s and had to have his hair dyed throughout the series. Yasmin Bleeth and Julia Roberts were fantasies of Chandler's on the show, and in real life, Matthew Perry has dated both of them. The fridge in Monica's apartment was fully functional and was always stocked with drinks for the cast and crew. The final episode was watched by 52.46 million viewers and is ranked the 4th most watched TV finale in U.S. history. Kathy was the second woman to date both Joey and Chandler. Ginger was the first. Janice came up with her catchphrase, "Oh my God," accidentally and had to say it annoyingly throughout her guest appearances. During season 1, the street outside of Central Park was actually a painted backdrop. The artwork within Central Park always changed. The door to the secret closet within Monica's apartment actually led to the area backstage and had to be covered with things when Chandler managed to get in to see. The movie poster behind the TV in Monica's apartment was put there to hide the hole where the cameras would film. Although the series is based in New York City, not a single shot was filmed there. Matt LeBlanc had $11 to his name when he auditioned. With his first paycheck, he bought a hot meal. The first thing Courtney Cox bought was a car. In the final season, when Rachel visits her father, the exterior of the house was the same as the one made famous by the Steve Martin movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The doors to the bedrooms in Monica's apartment actually took you onto the set of Central Park. The bedrooms were made up when they were needed for a scene. The one after the Super Bowl aired in 1996. It is ranked the highest viewer ratings. The opening credits were actually filmed at Warner Brothers Studios, not at Gramercy Park or Central Park. Lisa Kudrow hated playing the guitar at first. Tom Selleck, who played Richard Burke, would often get very loud applause from the live studio audience, and the producers would have to reshoot the scene without the audience watching. Some of the laughter from the show's live audience was cut in scenes so the next punchline wasn't lost. David Schwimmer thought Ross's third divorce was a step too far. The whole arc relationship was weird then, he told the Telegraph, because for him to be able to move on enough to marry someone else and then go back to being in love with Rachel later just went a bit too far. NBC originally requested that there be one main storyline per episode with a couple of minor ones, but the writers held their ground and insisted there be 3 storylines with equal weight. We didn't want to make it like every other sitcom, Marta Kaufman said. After 9/11, the show's creators added an American flag in Central Park as a sign of remembrance. We tried to subtly acknowledge in the show that it did happen, said Kevin Bright. But there was a Friends airport security scene that did have to be cut from the show out of respect. The artwork in Central Park changes every 3 episodes. Téa Leoni was originally cast as Rachel. There was originally going to be an older father figure called Pat the Cop, who was on hand to give the group advice on their life choices. He never made it as far as the pilot episode. Joey's time on Days of Our Lives came to an end not long after it began, when his character Dr. Drake Ramore fell into a coma that no neurosurgeon was skilled enough to get him out of. In fact, it's said the only doctor smart enough would have been Dr. Drake himself. Of course, he was then brought back to life in season 7, the recipient of a brain transplant from the character of Jessica Lockhart. So what ultimately happened to Drake Ramore at the end of the series? The character made it all the way to the spin-off, Joey, where it was revealed that the character had been killed off once more, but luckily, Joey got an award for Best Death Scene out of it. Although she ultimately turned out to be a bit of a hippie, the character of Phoebe was originally supposed to be goth. Instead of Smelly Cat, she would have been performing covers of The Cure or Sisters of Mercy songs at Central Park. Executive producer Kevin Bright had worked with David Schwimmer before, and when the show was being written, the character of Ross was written with Schwimmer in mind. It came as no surprise when Schwimmer was the first actor to be cast in the show. One of the hardest scenes to film in the entire show was the episode where Rachel hears Ben's first words. When prompted to say Dada, the young actor was supposed to remain silent. Unfortunately, the kid kept actually saying Dada. Matthew Perry had to go to rehab twice during the show's run. He said he would often show up to work hungover, but stated that he never took drugs or alcohol while on set. Even when you're a famous and successful actor, you sometimes need a helping hand. Fans of the show have been very vocal in their desire to see a reunion episode, but the show's stars and creators have said time and time again that the show will not be getting one. For the time being, the closest thing to a reunion episode was a sketch on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Although he was certainly mentioned more often than he appeared, there was a real actor behind the role of Ugly Naked Guy, but his real name wasn't revealed until 2016. A writer from the Huffington Post spent a year trying to find the man behind the bod, eventually discovering it to be actor John Haugen. Presumably, having your name appear next to the words Ugly Naked Guy wasn't that appealing to Haugen, so he remained anonymous for years. Jennifer Aniston had a serious tardiness problem, to the point where the cast eventually had an intervention to confirm confront her about it, led by David Schwimmer. Imagine getting paid $1 million to do anything and being late. Near the end of the show, Jennifer Aniston was arguably the most famous cast member, thanks to several movies and then-husband Brad Pitt. Aniston said she was dealing with a couple of issues at the time and nearly didn't make it back for the show's final season. She eventually agreed to be a part of the final season. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it here because every website I find now has a lot of the same facts as the previous ones, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of new facts. I hope you enjoyed that video. I always like taking a trip down memory lane for friends. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.